There was no collusion with Russia. There was no obstruction, and none whatsoever. And it was a complete and total exoneration.
Well, there you go. Remember that? That was Sunday, March 24th. That is when that letter from the Attorney General, Bill Barr, came out. It was 2 days after Barr got the Mueller report. Barr summarized, gave his version of the Mueller report. The headlines there, you heard Trump saying no collusion with Russia. The question there on obstruction, the Attorney General gave his opinion. He said the report, though, hadn't come to a conclusion. But anyway, the headlines that were generated immediately after March 24th were the headlines that Trump and his supporters had been waiting a couple of years for. And certainly he wasted no opportunity to trumpet them. So the question was, OK, the president did get those headlines. The picture looks a little bit more complicated right now. But on March 24th, he sat at an average approval rating. If you would average together all the polls of Trump's approval rating, that day it was 43.1%. So what happened after that? Was there a bounce? We've had a number of polls that have been conducted since then. And his approval rating now, well, I guess you can call it a bounce. It's 0.7 of 1 point on average from 43.1 the day that summary was released. Tonight, it sits the average at 43.8%. So very, 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 very slight. And really, in a lot of ways, shouldn't be a surprise because it is the story of the Trump presidency. There has been swirling controversy, a lot of it of the president's own making. There have been seemingly major earth-shattering news developments. Those news developments have been followed by talk about and speculation about, is this going to be a turning point in his approval rating, in the public's perception of him? A lot of times we're asking, is it going to go down? We were asking a week ago if it was going to go up, but generally it barely moves anywhere. Check this out. This is the president's approval rating, his average approval rating since he became president. His high point, 47%. This was just after he was sworn in. You could call that his honeymoon. His low point, 37%. That was the end of his first year. Where it sits right now, somewhere in between. This is an incredibly narrow range for a president to be in. You look at every single one of Trump's modern predecessors, Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Barack Obama, at some point in their first terms, every single one of them cleared the 60% mark in their approval rating, at least at some point. Donald Trump's high point is 47. He cannot get higher than that, it would seem, but also his low point, 37. The ceiling, the floor, always in between. It seems no matter what happens. How many major developments did we have before that Mueller report was submitted to the Attorney General? How many major news developments did we have where the question was asked, is this where Trump's approval rating is going to crash, where the bottom falls out? But it never falls lower than 37, never seems to get higher, really, than the mid-40s. It's existed in that zone. And here's the other thing. These are what his poll numbers looked like as a candidate in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. On a bad day, he'd fall into the high 30s. On a good day, he'd get somewhere in the mid-40s. Generally, on average, he was right around there. I don't know if as a candidate and as a president, we're talking 3 years, 3+ years now, very, very few people, it would seem, have changed their mind on Donald Trump. And it certainly raises the possibility that basically no one's going to change their mind on him between now and Election Day 2020. So it raises for him, the way to win re-election in 2020 would be the way he won it in 2016, very narrowly, and by making sure that his opponent ends up just as unpopular or close to as unpopular as he is on Election Day.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.